for me, it's about being the captain of the ship in that moment. If the captain of the ship is running and heading for the nearest lifeboat, and you're all looking around thinking what we're supposed to be doing, then you haven't got a very steady ship. Whereas if the captain of the ship is at the wheel, holding it steady, then you're going to be supporting them in that position, rather than running for a lifeboat yourself.
Hello and welcome to Meet Your Inspiration podcast with Meri and Rich. Here we're talking about inspiration, motivation and empowerment. Our guests are ordinary people who became extraordinary, and with sharing their stories, we want to empower you to become the person you want to be and to go beyond your dreams.
This morning we've got a special guest, Mr. James Gardner. James is a serial entrepreneur. Quite how many companies he actually runs, you'll find out very soon, but it's quite a few. James, welcome. It's a great privilege to have you with us this morning, and we'd just like to hear your story. So,
thank you so much for inviting me. It's been very kind, and looking forward to sharing some of my knowledge with you and your guests as well.
Fantastic.
Can you remind me how you two met, first of all? Because I know that Richard just...
So we met in Ashford at the Kent Business Live event. Which was quite an incredible event where lots of Kent businesses were there, and there were several speakers on various panels, and there was some special entrepreneurs from Kent, particularly featuring, I think there was 4 on the panel, and James was one of the key men on the panel. So it was great to actually hear his story at that point, hear some interview questions, and also heard some inspiration. So I went up straight away afterwards, went and had a chat with James and said, would you come and share your story with us? Because it's quite incredible. So,
yeah, that was good. That was a great panel and really well put on event. It hadn't been put on for quite a few years, I think, because of COVID. So to reopen and be asked to be on a panel with some other extraordinary entrepreneurs as well, it was really nice. Great to meet you there as well. Lovely to meet you today.
Yes, it's absolutely a pleasure because, I always know that Richard choices are good, but he was so excited. Oh, I've got a great, you wrote a book as well that we can...
Writing, yeah.
Oh, you're writing now?
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about that a bit later because, I know you mentioned quite a few things, but question that I did ask you earlier, how many businesses are you managing at the moment?
So I'm currently managing director of 6 businesses.
That's incredible. I don't know how you do that. And I would be really interested to know about how you manage your time between all of them. But let's start a bit back in the time where all your journeys start. Once you finish the secondary school, which path did you take?
So if I can back up a little bit before then, as a young entrepreneur,
wow.
I think I was around 11 years old when I got my first job. That wasn't for a friend or a family, and it was in the local pub on a Saturday and Sunday morning. I would go in and bottle up the back bar from the night before and fill up all the drinks and everything else like that. So that was my first job, £3 a morning, and I was very happy with that. A few years later, I was about 14, and I went to a local business in Westmorning and started washing the cars for the business there. And that business happened to be a funeral directors. So they had 2 cars, a hearse and a limousine. They're big cars, and I got £10 per car on a Saturday morning. So I'd increased my earnings by quite a substantial amount, and really enjoyed working and doing that. Through school and secondary school, was never very academic, wasn't very bright. I think I've got 5 GCSEs of grade C and above. And then I went on to college. I went to what was West Kent College at the time in Tunbridge, now called North Kent. They're all called North Kent College, and did a business GMBQ. And I always wanted to be in business. I've got my mum to thank for that. She was very much encouraging me to go into the world of business, and didn't quite know what business I wanted to be in, but knew I wanted to be in business. So studied for 2 years and did a business GMBQ. And then after that, I went to the University of Hertfordshire to do a business degree in business economics. Quite quickly realised actually I'm not very academically bright, and at the same time wanted to get out into the world of work and earn some money. So I set myself a goal that at the end of the 3-year degree, typically you'd come out and you would be earning a certain amount of money. So my goal was to go into the workplace, and over those 3 years, gain work experience, which a lot of people who have a university degree don't have the experience, and be on as much earning as I would have been as a postgraduate. And I went back to that company where I was washing the cars at the weekends, and I actually left university to go back to become a trainee funeral director. And then from there, realised quite quickly that it was a very small firm and there wasn't much avenues to grow. So from there, I went up to London for a couple of years and worked for 2 different companies, one being Connex Southeastern, the train company at the time in their HR department, and also HSBC Bank as well. And really enjoyed that time, but didn't want to go up and down to London every day. And so at the end of that 2-year period, my oldest brother, I've got 2 older brothers, 10 and 12 years older than me, and my oldest brother was starting up a business in manufacturing, sidelined to what he was currently doing with the permission of that company, and I became the first employee and then part owner as well a bit later on of that manufacturing company. My first day as a good entrepreneur was on my sister-in-law's dressing table, had a laptop and a fax machine, because that's how old I am, and we would just make phone calls, or I would make phone calls and try and get people to buy the products that we were selling. And then we grew that business from that dressing table to a farm building in Harrietsham, and then another farm building in Burling near Riosh and near Westmoreland where we are now. And we then actually expanded into the US as well. So we
Is that business still going now?
It is. It was acquired by another business, a business that is local in Maidstone, Sinclair and Rush, and also Sinclair and Rush in America as well. So we'd expanded into America and shown up on their radar over there. And then, a long story short, they bought us but wanted us to stay on as well. So we stayed on for a few years.
It's quite an interesting start, because if we look at that particular thing, one of the things I think a lot of people always want to know is when you start a business like that and you're looking, obviously, first of all, you have a product, and you never know whether that product is something the market really wants. Obviously, in our heads, we've designed something, we've come up with this great idea, but so we think it's amazing. We ask a couple of friends, what do you think of this? And then you go, right, okay, I'm going to make it. But how at that point did you know that, or did you not know at that point? I mean, can you say a bit about the product and what it was and how you got started it?
It was a range of products. So my brother was working for this company in Maidstone. They're part of the global company, and they manufactured high volume products. So 5,000 pieces would be a minimum order quantity for that particular product or range of products. And every day he would be speaking to people that just wanted 100 pieces or 500 pieces and didn't want the 5,000 or whatever it might be to meet their minimum order quantity. So he saw a gap in the market, and we then sort of filled that gap. But what I say to people, especially young entrepreneurs, is you haven't really got a business until somebody that doesn't know you, isn't a friend or a family member, someone that doesn't know you buys your product. And that feeling when somebody, if it's online or whether it's face-to-face, if somebody buys that product from you, you know you've got a start, and you can then move forward with that and try and expand it. So what we did is we sort of found that gap in the market for low to medium volumes, and we also said yes. We had a joke where we would answer the phone, hello, company name, yes, we can do it, now what is it that you want? And our portfolio of products expanded through kind of customer demand, really. And it's having the open mind that you can try and do lots of other things. It then got too much almost, and we had to come back a little bit. But in the initial days, it was very fun, and trying to help people, which is kind of what I've done all my life, really trying to help people to do what they want to do as well.
So that obviously that business must have grown fairly quickly because of the approach, the marketing, and obviously the ability to produce and manufacture in the quantities that people wanted. And so that's where the demand often is, isn't it?
It was interesting. You know, we were the fastest growing company in our industry. We started out small and we sort of grew, and we became a thorn in the side to some of the bigger boys out there. Which was interesting as well. We were one of the first to go into the e-commerce world with that sort of product range before it's now just commonplace. And we were also the first to sort of ship overseas to back to the US, and that's why we opened in the US, because we had demand from there. And a lot of European companies had opened and were trading in America, But America is very much an imperial size measurement, inches, and we obviously more European here, so we were supplying millimeters and things like that into the American market, and again grew from there. We then kind of replicated what we did here. We opened up a small office in somebody's home, somebody that we knew, and then outgrew that. And then we had our own unit with our own warehousing facilities, and we hired some people from there. And I would fly back and forth every month. So one year I think I did 13 trips back and forth. I went twice in August. And it was a busy few years of establishing our business over there as well. And a lot of hard work, a lot of money invested, a lot of time invested, but very much fun as well, and was able to take the family over at Easter and those sorts of things, and lots of fond memories of that hard time. And ultimately, that's what ended up with a company sale and an exit, to be able to go on and do some other things.
But how about obviously to start a business? What was your foundation in the knowledge back then, or you were just following your inner gut and what you think should be right and what to do? How this work?
It's funny, yeah. So my knowledge was zero at the time in that manufacturing business. My brother's was very high because he was working in it in the company with the higher volumes. So very quickly learning and being able to talk in the language of your clients and your customers. And again, they were from a very wide range of different companies and backgrounds as well. And a bit like speaking different languages, you would speak different measurements. So someone would say, I want, a 20 mil diameter product to fit a 4-inch long, grip and things like that. So they would talk in different measurements, and you'd have to learn all of these things. And your job was, as a salesperson, but more of a service person, was to try and find the best product for them, so that it could enhance their products as well, or protect whatever it was that they were doing. So just very keen. I was just keen. I was young and keen, naive, looking back probably, and had a good attitude. I always say higher for attitude. And I wanted to, impress my brother. And it was fun. I was young and could do anything at that time. So yeah, I think the naivety of youth was probably on my side.
I think sometimes it is, because it does make a difference, doesn't it? Because sometimes it's you sort of like, where others you might be a little bit more cautious and think, I don't want to push that one, I don't want to push that one. Actually, the fact your enthusiasm, and even sometimes if people say no, you still see that there's an opportunity to push that door open. Because sometimes you think, well, I wouldn't approach that company because they're probably a bit not quite with us. But actually, sometimes you can keep pushing and actually achieve that. And I know that happened to me years ago. Someone said to me, we don't think we should work with this particular client. And I remember building a relationship with them. And then someone said to me again, like, no, Richard, I don't think you're wasting your time. And then 3 years later, I sold them £1.5 million of equipment. So, actually, you know that relationship, and as you build the relationship with someone, and I think a lot of people would say, particularly in sales, it's very much people, but attitude is the key thing, isn't it? And if people see your enthusiasm, they think, okay, there's something about this, and that makes a difference in life, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, and a no is just one step closer to a yes, as sales books say.
Yeah.
But again, it's just about being open, it's being honest. I hate pushy salespeople. But to leave the door open and to be there and keep in contact with people. And a lot of people now, especially younger salespeople, don't make that follow-up call. No, they don't make the 7th follow-up call, which is often when the sale happens, and they haven't got the longevity, or they think they're being rude or whatever to try and keep going with something. But it's interesting, it's fun, it's different, and again, you just don't know when your next order is going to come from. And I remember some of the earlier days of that business, it was very difficult. It was like, we haven't had an order for a week, what do we do? And having my older brother just say, it's okay, it happens sometimes, and sort of help and coach and mentor me through those times as well. We were in it together, and then an order would come in, like you say, out of the blue, and that gives you enough to keep going for the next week, and so on and so forth. They were fun times looking back, and we were in farm buildings, with no running water unless it rained, and you come through the middle of the unit and those sorts of things. And hard work, but good. And we built something from nothing, which I'm very proud of that.
And of course, to be able to sell it to a global big company, definitely speak enough about it. So after this journey or during that period, what was happening in your life in terms of your work?
And the other businesses, So at the end of this journey, so we'd sold to the American company, we'd stayed on. My brother retired at 52, and I took over the reins as managing director of that company for the UK and Europe. We had about 100 people, up to 110, I think, at one point here in Kent, 2 sites in Rochester and Maidstone that I was in charge of. And we had a fantastic team across all of the different departments, so that was was really good. It was actually so good, I was actually quite bored because the heads of each department were so good at looking after their teams, and we built up such a good company. But there wasn't that sort of drive and desire for me. I think I turned 40 probably, or around that sort of age, and I was thinking, right, do I do another 20, 25 years, get a nice pension and a gold watch, but be bored, or do I roll the dice and do something else again? And I didn't want to start a business again because I knew how difficult that was. So I was looking for other options, and I was looking online and discovered about acquisition and actually buying an existing business. And this was around August 2019. And I was thinking, okay, well, what business do I know? For some reason, I didn't want to buy a manufacturing business in the world I was in. I felt that was a bit cheating, and sort of then you take clients with you and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't want to do that for some reason. It might have been easier. But and I was thinking, what business is recession-proof? And the phrase kept coming back to me that there are 2 certainties in life, which is death and taxes. I didn't know much about taxes apart from paying a load. But I knew a bit about the death industry from the funeral directors that I'd worked at on a Saturday morning, cleaning the cars, and then being a trainee funeral director after leaving university. So I went back to that original funeral director and had a coffee and a catch up with him one afternoon, and said, he was 62 at the time, and said, I'm sure you're too young to retire now, but whenever you're ready to sell the business, would you give me first refusal? And he turned around there and then said, I think I'm ready now. So
that was perfect.
It was a serendipitous moment.
It really was.
And it was interesting. So that was October 2019. Fast forwarding through all the due diligence stage and everything else like that, I purchased the company on the 6th of March 2020. And 10 days later, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister at the time, said, anybody that can work from home, go and work from home because we're going into our first lockdown due to COVID. So very interesting timing and all the things that happen with that. But from washing the cars on a Saturday job as a young teenager to owning the company a few years later, it's quite an interesting journey.
Yeah. I mean, one of my biggest questions is sort of when people buy a business, because obviously a successful business can have quite a reasonable value. One of the hardest things is if you're going to buy a business, and I hear people buying businesses with almost no cash, and that is one of the everyone goes, well, how can you possibly buy a business? Everyone thinks, the value of that business is £10 million. If I haven't got £10 million, I can't buy the business. Yeah. So they go, okay, I'll never buy a business. But the reality is it often very different from that. So how would you? Can you explain a little bit about that, how that happens?
Absolutely, No, it is one of those interesting topics. If you've got an Amazon or another business, an Apple or something like that, you're going to have to pay for it because of what it's worth.
Yeah.
If you've got a SME in any country really, but especially in the UK, and I mentor and coach other people to buy businesses through this. So I've got my own experience. I've acquired 3 businesses and opened up a new company as well in the last 5 years. So I've got my own first-hand experience, but I've also helped multiple mentees over the last 5 years, 4 years, to buy multiple businesses as well. And from my own first-hand experience, from that very first business, on the 11th hour, the solicitor said, we need stamp duty, I think it was, because it was a share purchase agreement. And I can never quite remember, it was either 6,000 or 9,000 I had to put in. and then got it out 2 days later because it was in the company account. So without putting any of my own money in, apart from that, I always try and tell the truth, we borrowed money to buy it. So it's a bit like when you buy a house. Rarely can people afford the whole amount for the house. They have to either put a deposit down or, we come back to the 100% mortgages and those sorts of things. So you're using OPM, other people's money, to be able to help you through that. And there's different other people. There's friends and families, there's investors, there's different tiers of banks, which most people don't know. So you've got your high street banks, your first tier banks, Barclays, NatWest, HSBC, Santander, all of those first tier banks. And then you've got a second layer underneath them, which are all still FCA regulated and everything else that they have to be a bank, but they have a wider lending criteria than the high street ones. So, and again, sometimes you have to be constructive as how you put the deal together. So how I have done it, and a lot of my mentees have done it as well, is that we will offer an initial consideration for the business. On day one, they'll get a lump sum, but it won't be the full amount. And then over a period of 1, 3, 5 years, we'll pay you a deferred consideration. That can be a monthly payment like a salary, or a quarterly or yearly payment, and then that's how you would separate it. So using round numbers, if it was £1 million business, that was the valuation of it, you might get £500,000 on day one and then 100,000 for 5 years. And the company is paying the loan on the £500,000 that you're acquiring, and it's also paying the 100,000 a year as well from the profits it's making. So it's got to be able to do that. That's where your due diligence comes in, to look into the company, and if it can do all of that, then you can keep buying. So that's what I've done, and other people have as well. And there's lots and lots of different ways of doing it, but that's the sort of simplest way of.
That's a really clear explanation of the tool and how to do it.
Yeah. I personally as well, I was thinking that if you want to buy a business, you really need to have the money cash or in the bank and just transfer them. I never thought that this could be a...
So I actively tell people not to use their own money. Because we've all got a limited amount of what our own money is, and also that's your money. And you're buying a business, not a house or anything else like that. So I teach people, encourage people, share with people how to do it. And if the deal doesn't allow you to do that, then it's not a good deal. Move on. There's another deal out there. And having firsthand spoken to people, it's quite interesting. Good businesses that have been running for years, decades, in my case, centuries, often the owner isn't that interested in the money. The main thing, and it was the same for us when we sold our business, my brother and I, the main thing that we were interested in about was the team, and was they need to be looked after. So our first point when we sold to the American company was that both sides of the pond, everyone keeps their job. And they were very good about that. Everyone kept their job. People left, obviously, after that time, but that was their choice. And I've even had potential acquisitions where the owner said, look, I don't need all the money. Is there a way we can do it where I get half and my team get half?
Wow.
And it's very interesting, that mindset, because...
Very interesting, definitely, this mindset.
People want to end their journey, because they often then feel guilty about selling their business. Because they know the people, and often they brought them on as an apprentice or as a junior role.
They grow together, maybe. And that's impressive to hear that there are people with that mindset. But I heard, if I must be honest, quite a few businesses that they had that offer on the table when they said they were selling, that it's all going a package and they will choose just the right one that will look after the business and their people. And this makes you, as you said, to think that, of course, if you put heart somewhere, you don't want just because of the money. And especially if you are 60 or after 60, I'm not saying that you don't deserve to have a full bank of millions or whatever, but at the end of the day, how much you need to enjoy a good retirement and to know that you did something good once you go back. But this is impressive, because me certainly I was thinking that you need to have a full pocket if you want. That's why I was surprised, because I know a few people who were mentioning that they bought some businesses and they're not such a great businessman. But I would never go and ask them how you managed to do that.
Yeah, for many people, it's a real mystery, isn't it? I mean, that explanation, it sort of makes it very clear.
Makes it how people buy houses. Obviously, you still need to have, after the buying, you need to have the knowledge how to run the business, so to make sure that it's working, isn't it? It's not just to buy it.
It is, but I mean, what's interesting, yes, I'd had previous knowledge in the funeral world, buying funeral homes that I bought, but it was, 20 odd years prior to that. My knowledge really is around people and around leadership and trying to get the best out of your team. And what was interesting by not going from a manufacturing company to another one, I've really had to test whether that's true or not. And I always encourage people, and a lot of the time they do buy in areas that they know, not always, but a lot of times they do, if it's publication or if it's manufacturing or construction or whatever else it might be, then they're buying in those areas, adding to their businesses already. But sometimes, like I've done, it is a different area. And with the business travel I've done around the world, into the US, into China and other places, people are people. And at the end of the day, if you treat them well, and if you look after them, and if you try and help them and grow them and develop them as much as they want to, then they're going to do, a good day's work for you as well, and enjoy what they do. So, yes, it's important to have an overall knowledge, especially a leadership knowledge, but you don't necessarily specifically have to have the knowledge of what that company's doing. So I say I'm not a funeral director, but I own several funeral directors. And I have funeral directors, funeral arrangers, and other people that help and look after the families and everything else. And my job is to look after the team.
Escape to luxury at Hempstead House Hotel and Spa, an elegant country house hotel in Bapchild, near Sittingbourne, Kent. Relax with indulgent spa treatments. Dine in style with exquisite cuisine. Perfect for getaways, weddings and events. Experience luxury in the heart of Kent. Book your stay today.
Be the first to discover Kent's best events all in one free app. What's On in Kent is a new and rapidly growing app where you can find days out information, places to eat, festivals, concerts, markets, and much more around you. Just with few clicks on your phone or computer, you can stay updated with real-time info and explore events across Kent. Don't even think twice. Just download. It's free. Okay. Are there, can you share, let's say, 3 leadership tips that can be very helpful for any entrepreneur or anyone who wants to go in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is people, and that's broken into 3 parts as well. So people. First and foremost, it's your team. If you don't look after your team, why are they going to look after the second lot of people, which is your clients and customers? So you've got to look after your team, and then they in turn will help look after the clients and customers that you have. And the third one are your suppliers, which most people don't necessarily think of, but they're actually a wider part of your team. If you haven't got good supply coming in, or if you're treating them horribly, then you're going to go to the bottom of their list. If they are supplying you, you need their help. So the first one is people. The second one is cash flow. Without a doubt, it's the most important part of the business, the actual running of the business, and it can dry up just like that. And without it, you haven't got a business. Doesn't matter what future orders you've got. Doesn't matter how good you are, how many followers you've got. If you haven't got good cash flow and good cash management, then you won't have a good sustainable business, and that's very hard. And then the third one is about being that visionary person. So Simon Sinek says he's the CVO, not the CEO, Chief Visionary Officer. And as leaders, our job, John C. Maxwell line, is that we see more than others and that we see before others. So our job is to see the bigger picture and see 5 miles down the road before we even get there. And to be able to create a vision of where you want to go and where you want your team to go and your business to go. And every business should be evolving and changing and embracing things, and lots of businesses don't. They think they're doing okay. Apple's a good example of that to one degree. One of the biggest companies in the world. They've still got the iPhone that Steve Jobs invented and the iPad that Steve Jobs invented and the there's nothing really new apart from
what
So we're always looking at what's going to be the next thing. Even in our world of quite an old-fashioned service-based business, there is new things coming on, and we're trying to get ahead of those as well.
I do agree a lot on. Obviously, I don't understand too much about the cash flow, but about the people and the vision, definitely. From my experiences, I can say that I'm always impressed by leaders and people who got that vision. And it's very interesting because I've been on conversations when someone got the vision and is talking, and how maybe if you're not talking to the right people, or you're not everybody from your team are the right people, they just think that you're crazy and that's not going to work and they're not going to do it. But here it comes the leader role that I've seen it, now do it. And I love the result after that. Everybody start, oh, that was good. And as you said, we can see it. I believe Amazon had the same story. iPhone is the same thing. And lots of other people. And I love you mentioning Simon Sinek, because me and Richard are big fans of him. Absolutely love everything he shares, and he talk, and people. Yeah, everybody talk about people. But how much you are involved? Obviously, in your businesses, you look after the people. What is your vision around? Does really people become important part of the businesses, or still is on a journey?
So for me, it's about involvement, and what I do when I acquire a business, and even post that, we had a meeting just last week, very simply called an ideas and suggestions meeting. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. We ask for people's ideas and suggestions, and nothing's off the table, and people come with some great ideas, and some expensive ideas, and some crazy ideas, and everything in between. And when I bought my first business just over 5 years ago, I had individual ideas and suggestions meetings with everybody, and very simply put it on a shared spreadsheet with that one person. So Fred had his and Jane had hers, and so on and so forth. And some were so simple. Can we move that from there to there? I said, well, that makes sense because that's closer to where it needs to be. I said, well, why have you not done that before? Oh, we weren't allowed. Okay, no, that's fine. Please do that. Other things were very expensive but made sense, and we did those as well. And after 3 months, I thought, wow, we've done quite a lot. So I totaled them all up from all the different lists. There was only 4 people there. And I said in a morning huddle, which is another thing that we do across the companies, and actually we record those on our WhatsApp groups as well. So we have a morning huddle at 8:30 at each company, and then we get to listen to them even if you're not there. We go through the day's agenda. At the end of that morning huddle, I said, how many ideas and suggestions do you think we've done over the last 90 days? 15, some said 10, 20. So we've done 102. 102 different things that we've implemented. But it was the team's ideas, the team's suggestions. Yes, some of them would have been mine as well, but I let them take it on board and then do it. If you go in and mention the C word in a business, which is change, people don't want to do it.
No.
But if you encourage them to share their ideas and empower them to be able to do it themselves, and encourage them and to train them, develop them, give them the funds to do it, then you can do 102 ideas in a very old-fashioned business in 90 days. I think that's quite good going.
It's amazing because that's like real change. From instead of change, you're using the creativity of the team to enable change, and they don't even realise they're doing it.
No, it's not. We didn't mention change.
No,
never, because it's not that. So,
because it's maybe not even the change. They don't realize it's, as you said, sometimes they're simple things, and they're the people who are day to day, and they've got the better vision about it. But when you're not allowed, or when you are not, this is the difficult, how you make them to believe, to trust, and to do it. Because I assume, actually, funny enough, yesterday I think I wrote a comment on LinkedIn because, again, I've seen someone share, and I do talk because there are lots of, I would say, minimum wage places and companies that really put people so much down and don't let them even to be able to feel comfortable if they need to go to doctor. You need to have a days off and all sorts of that. People like that, you can't encourage them at all to give a voice to anything because, first of all, you never take the action. Second, the trust is absolutely broken. How the trust is built maybe to make these people to come and to share and to talk?
Well, the trust is only built when you do the action. So, very, very simple example from the meeting we had on Monday, just gone. We're recording this on Saturday. Debbie, one of our amazing funeral arrangers, suggested that we change the colour of the cushions in the office to match our corporate colour. I said, brilliant. One of my most famous words that my team will love me for is, can you send me an Amazon link? Okay, I don't mind. I'm not an interior designer. I don't mind what type of cushion and this and that. You're the one that's got to look at them all day. So Debbie, bless her, sent me 3 links with a favourite one at the top. I didn't even look at the other 2. Don't tell her that. I just clicked on the top one that was the one she wanted. They looked fantastic. I ordered 12 sets of cushions covers for 60 quid, whatever it was, 70 quid. And then they turned up. I got them delivered to Debbie in the office. Went in 2 or 3 days later, and all the cushion covers are changed to the corporate colour, and she was very happy with them, and they looked fantastic as well. So it's about empowering your team to be able to make those changes. And yes, you sense check them, but it was a half a second decision to say, yes, let's do that, and then actioning it. And that's where the trust builds up. And our good friend Simon Sinek as well, he gives a story about going into the Four Seasons Hotel and another hotel about having a coffee. And the experience about having a coffee. Very simple. Most of us do it every day. And you'll go back to some places and never go back to another place because of one person. And that same person will probably be paid the same wage and have the same benefits and all the other stuff that that person has, because we all have life stuff going on. Yet Simon would go back to that hotel rather than that one. And we've all got that favourite restaurant or cafe or bar or whatever we go to because you feel like you're a valued customer there as well. But that only starts with them feeling valued. If they don't feel valued, they're not going to make your clients and customers feel valued at all. And it's such a short-sighted management way. Management's easy. Leadership's hard. Management is do this, otherwise you're out. Leadership is encouraging people to develop and have ideas and come forward with the different suggestions they want so that they can then look after your clients.
I think this is what lots of places are missing in people. Although I don't stop to say that since we started this podcast, I'm amazed. And this is one of the reasons I love doing it, because for some reason we are meeting people with this right mindset. The amount of leaders that said that nowadays they're not that much into the CV, they are into to see the person, to talk to them, attitude. What did you start with today? Attitude. Which if I go and say to other people that I know, and they'll be like, oh, no, it's not. It's always difficult. And I'm like, no, there are new business leaders. There are new people over there that actually will look and they will value. But in the meantime, there are lots of places where you are just a number on the payroll. And if you don't follow their rules, although there is lots of amazing things, support,
but
share,
it's really amazing.
Say that when you're not hurt.
But when you empower somebody, it's like you said about the cushions with Debbie. So she gave you 3 choices. Probably the first one was maybe the most expensive. The other 2 may have been cheaper. But she was giving you the opportunity to choose. But she already told you what her preference was. But you actually empowered her dramatically by letting her choice be the choice. Now, that is something really important, because a lot of company bosses will go, okay, you give me 3 choices. That's my favourite. Oh, I don't like that. You'll have that one. And then,
what is the cheapest option?
And they feel like, oh, that's a shame. That was a great opportunity for that because I loved it. But that is such a difference. And that's a real standout, because like she'll go and go, do you know what? My choice really counts. And that makes such a difference to a person. Doesn't it? I think so.
But it does really count.
It does.
To the point where, like I said, honestly, I didn't even look at the other 2. They would have probably been cheaper or a different style or something. I don't know. But she wanted that one. They look great. Fantastic. They ordered. They were there the next day. And again, different things for different people. And going back to the CV route, typically I don't actually employ people now. Our team do that. And if I did, or I've employed lots of people over the years, my thing would be to go to the back page and look at their hobbies and interests. are we aligned on what they like to do outside of work?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many GCSEs you've got and so on and so forth. We don't employ people that need a certain level of education. They need a certain level of compassion and care and ability to be able to do the job. Everything else we can train them, and everything else we do train them on. So for me, it's about, why do you want to do this? And if it's just a job, then you're not for us. And if it's about, because I care about looking after people who are grieving, and in their hour of need we can help them, then fantastic. Let's and actually, again, everybody, apart from one person, I think, on the team right now, hasn't had previous experience. And some people, young people in our team, and some mature people in our team, and all of them have come into it from other professions or other jobs. And I wouldn't change any of them, because they're very compassionate, and they really care about the people that we're privileged enough to serve.
Yeah, it's sensitivity in that area is one of the most important things. And it doesn't matter whether it's the driver driving the hearse or the car with the family in, or whether it's the funeral director's actually stood in front of the people, and someone comes out and reacting, because everyone reacts differently in a circumstance, particularly around death.
Yeah.
Some people are incredibly emotional. Some people almost seem quite cold and reserved. Some people are really loud and take over the situation, and others are incredibly quiet, and you never know what they're thinking. And to be able to adapt almost certainly to every individual and have a sensitivity is a special touch.
Yeah, it's just good. You can't learn that in a classroom.
No.
Or by reading a book.
No.
That is, you've either got that or you haven't. We can help encourage it and grow it, but it's either within you or not. And you're right, every family that we serve is different, every scenario is different, every funeral is different, every person that we're looking after has had a different life. And I love it that our team are passionate, that they're caring. Rarely, but it does happen, they will shed a tear at a funeral as well. And that's brilliant, that's fine. No
They're people.
And it means that they really care. And the families are often, grateful for the level of care that we provide. Because nowadays there is an alternative out there, and it is cheaper, and cheaper doesn't always mean better. And another story for another day. But we're very proud to be able to serve our local community and our local families. And no matter what their background or who they are or what they've done, doesn't matter. We're there to give them the best send off that we can.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, James, so having run and purchased one company in that field, you then purchased at some point another one, because you've got two businesses. At that point, did you obviously make a conscious decision you would keep the two businesses completely separate, or did you ever think you would bring them together? Because that's obviously, there's different teams in different areas.
Yeah.
How did that dynamic work for you?
It's very hard. So we purchased the first company in the beginning of 2020. Actually opened up a new company, which I said I wouldn't do, a new company again. It was a sister company to the first company. It was for geographical purposes in an area not too far away, but gave us a reach into a new area as well. Then went on to acquire the third business after that as well. And that was very hard, to try and integrate teams and to integrate the different things that we were doing. So very, very sensitive. There was always, at the beginning, a sense of the first one and then the second or third one, and those sorts of things as well. What I've done is I've tried to learn and take the best practices from anywhere and integrate those. So a simple thing that we had integrated, I was helping to arrange a funeral. I wouldn't say I was arranging it. I was helping to arrange a funeral one day. And the person mentioned that they were going to ask family members and friends that were coming to wear something orange, because it was that person's favourite colour. And I said, that's interesting. I said, would you like us to try and get some orange ties for the bearers and the conductor to wear? Oh, that'd be great, if that's all right. And never had thought of it, but that was something that came up. Now, in a funeral arrangement, we will ask, did your person have a favourite colour? And would you like us to wear a favourite colour tie for them? So something very simple, and it's just everything else is traditional, if that's what they want us to be, but this is a nod to the person that we're looking after, and then we're sort of fitting in with the family as well. And we have literally just got same sets of ties and colours at each site now, and those sorts of things as well. And what was happening at one place, then I've introduced everywhere. So we are more of a team than we've ever been, but it has taken a long time. And I think people underestimate how difficult that is to integrate it and to not have the them and us, or the upstairs and the downstairs. Because there's an element of that, and it's an element that's been there in society since going back to however long, of literally the upstairs and the downstairs people, and the films and the TV series, the Downton Abbeys and the Pride and Prejudice, all those sorts of things, was there. We're still feeling some of that in the workplace, sadly, and I'm trying to squash that as much as possible. But it's a challenge, and it's something you have to think about to try and integrate. Not easy.
I wanted to ask what other type of businesses you've got, because they're not all in the same.
No. So I have a holding company that looks after 4 funeral director businesses. So there's the 5 there. And then a separate company to that, there's a passion of mine, which is about amazing leaders. The company is called Amazing 3D Goals, which is a goal setting technique that I came up with. And I teach people from school children, university, and business and CEOs about setting goals. And that has also become a coaching business and mentoring business as well. And I love helping people, whether it's acquisitions, whether it's growing businesses, whether it's international business, to be able to help them in their leadership development so that they're ready for whatever's coming next to their challenging plate. It's interesting talking before we mentioned Stephen Bartlett, Diary's CEO. He had Mr. Beast on, and he's 26 or something, which is crazy. But he was saying every time he was coming up against the next big challenge, he didn't know what to do because it was the first time he'd faced it. And that's where mentors come in, because we've gone through that problem before and that pain barrier before and probably failed. I definitely have lots of times. And we then know how not to fail again. And I can pass that knowledge on to somebody else. And that company there, like I say, is a passion of mine to help and teach people and to walk with them and whatever step of the journey they're going on. Because entrepreneurship and leadership and management and CEOs is lonely at the top. It's an old phrase, an old cliche, but it's very lonely at the top. And I'm a big advocate for mental health and mental fitness, and sharing some of the things that you can only share with a trusted mentor helps alleviate some of that burden.
It's interesting you say that, because I think one of the things that happens, obviously the loneliness aspect of running a business and looking at how to run the business is surely a difficult moment. And also the people around you often look at you and see that you could be an inspiration to them. And you have ideas, and they feed off those ideas. But there's often those moments when you might wake up in the middle of the night, or you might go home and think, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. Maybe I haven't pushed that hard enough. Or maybe, something's happened that particular day and you look back and think, didn't deal with that very well. And you then filled with this self-doubt, this, what everyone calls today imposter syndrome. And I think it's something that a lot of business people today really feel more than ever. And I think, as you just said, being mentally prepared, and that's one of the hardest things, because you've got to pick yourself up, or you need to share, and you need to share with someone who you can trust, who'll actually go, actually, look at this, look what you've done there, look what you've done there, and go, but without you in that situation, you couldn't do that. And that is often something that inside, when we have those moments, we don't feel it. And I'm sure you've probably seen that many times.
Lots, yeah. And that's how we learn. It's from those moments. And I've got lots of stories firsthand, of when it's gone wrong. when it's going wrong. And again, you as the leader need to be the graceful swan on top of the lake, gliding gracefully along with your legs doing this because you don't know what's happening. And often I find that it's not just one thing going wrong. You know, there's often several things going wrong for different reasons, and then you might throw in some personal stuff as well just to make it even more difficult. And for me, it's about being the captain of the ship in that moment. If the captain of the ship is running and heading for the nearest lifeboat, and you're all looking around thinking, what are we supposed to be doing? Then you haven't got a very steady ship. Whereas if the captain of the ship is at the wheel, holding it steady, then you're going to be supporting them in that position, rather than running for a lifeboat yourself, potentially. So it's about having people that you can trust, and that's really difficult in today's age, and finding somewhere that you can share what is often your deepest, darkest secrets that you don't want to share because it's often your failure moments. The imposter syndrome is an interesting one. It was never a phrase. I'd never learnt it at business school or university a long time ago. And it's sort of come in as a negative thing. And Jimmy Carr on a Diary of a CEO podcast said it's a good thing, actually. Every 6 to 12 to 18 months, you should feel it. If you don't feel it, you're not pushing hard enough. And I often say to people, you know, when was the last time you failed? And if you can't remember, then you're not trying hard enough. Because when we learn new things, we're failing all the time. And, you know, your podcast now and your YouTube channels and everything else and the microphones, all the things we've got here, wasn't how you did your first one, I'm sure. And you have evolved to be where you are now, and so on and so on and so forth. And often we do that without any financial repercussions of it or anything else. We do it because we've got a passion for whatever it is we're doing, and whether they're sharing stories or helping people or whatever else it might be. I think, unfortunately, the schooling system, it might be getting better, but in our day was, if you failed, you got a big red cross, you got a sad face and a see me. Might just be me, but I got that a fair amount.
I did too.
And that was not encouraging.
No.
And the good people that got 10 out of 10 and a smiley face, all marked in green, went on to be fine. Now, I think actually they were doing a disservice to those people in hindsight, because they didn't learn anything from getting 10 out of 10 on their spellings, apart from they could do the spellings that week. Whereas actually, right, you failed. Let's praise that. What did we learn? And another great book, the old book, the How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. There was a story right at the beginning there of a bank manager that would review his weekly appointments on the Sunday. He'd go back through his diary and review what appointments he had, what meetings he had with people, and how did it go, and how could he have done and made it even better. And I say to my team, I said to Lana just this week, I said, when you get in your car and drive home, the first 10 minutes, don't put the radio on, don't listen to anything, wait to put the podcast on after 10 minutes. Review your day. When you went in, what happened? Who did you interact with? What went well? What went badly? What would you do differently next time? Every day we have an opportunity just for 10 minutes to review our day and then have an opportunity to improve it for the next time that meeting comes up. And that's how we get better. Whether that's learning a magic trick or juggling or playing a sport or doing everything, it's that repetition of trying to improve.
Constant assessment.
And focused, improvement as well makes a big difference over a longer time.
Do you think that's good to review yourself, or do you think that's something good to do when you share with your mentor or your sort of confidant?
Both. The problem is your mentor's not with you the whole time.
No.
And so often you'll pick and choose what you share with them, and you're only typically there with them for a limited time. Whereas you have the opportunity to be honest with yourself. It only works if you are. If you're kidding yourself, then it makes a difference. But if you're honest with yourself and just think, I didn't like how that conversation went, what could I have done? Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We've all got 20/20 hindsight. We can look back and think and pick it apart. But can we learn from it? What can we do differently? How can I set up things that go better? And try something. I love the phrase, the difference between try and triumph is just a little oomph. You've got to do something to try and make it different. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, which is the definition of insanity. So, trying something, action again.
And it's an interesting thing, because I noticed that sort of sometimes in my business moments that you're interacting with other people, what you don't know before you go into a meeting is what's happened with that particular person at the beginning part of that day, or what problems they're facing on that particular day. You're meeting them pretty much cold. You may or may not, if you know them a little bit, you can read the room a little bit when you go in, because you can understand warmth or cold or their reaction, or they've just got off the phone and there's a moment they've got to go and do something else. Can I have 5 before we sit down? Would you just have a cup of coffee and I'll be with you in a minute? And you feel that moment of stress. Or other times you walk into a meeting and you just know that they're relaxed and they're open. And sometimes I find that difference between reading the room and what's happening is a very interesting moment to how to actually deal with a particular situation, whether you go in what approach you use, because that's something from a sensitivity point of view in business that I think it's an important thing to learn. I don't know whether if you found that yourself.
Absolutely, and again, I look back, probably cringe on my younger years as how I would have approached things and got things wrong and learned from them. But reading a room, and again, this is where I think COVID, working remotely, working from home, the younger generation coming through haven't got that experience of seeing other people do it. I would have gone into rooms, I have gone into rooms and boardrooms with somebody more experienced in front of me. I wouldn't have spoken first. It wasn't my position to do so. So I'm waiting for them to speak. What do they say? What do they then say after the response? And all those sorts of things as well. And we don't have that if you're on a Zoom call waiting for everyone to come into the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
So what was your experience of that? Was there a specific moment that where either you got it wrong or you got it right or somebody got it wrong that you can think of?
Yeah, well, I think there's several opportunities. I think sometimes in my early years, I would go into the meeting with an agenda. So it was my agenda, and I wanted to present this, this, and this, and this. And I then, at the end of it, suddenly realised that wasn't the right agenda for that particular moment. And I picked up on those when I reassessed it, and I thought to myself, actually, I didn't push that bit. I didn't get that order on that project because I didn't read. I was so busy with thinking what I was thinking the solution was, and I wasn't listening. And because I wasn't listening, that's why I lost that bit of business for that particular time. Now, one of the things I always found afterwards, if you lose that business on a particular day and someone then goes, actually, I'm afraid, we're not going to work with this time. One of the most important things that I learned at the end of that is how to react to that situation. And one of the most important things I've always found is, look, okay, I'm sorry that we haven't been successful this time, but please do bear me in mind for future. If with your journey with the other supplier, if you have any issues, please do come and talk to me. Even if I can't supply you this particular time, if I can give you any advice and support you through, and would you mind if maybe I would give you a ring in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, just to see how things are progressing and see whether that was a good journey or not. And that's a way of leaving a situation with a positive. One of the things that, every meeting you have is different in my mind. But like sometimes, there used to be a lot in the early days. I remember when I was apprentice, I used to listen to a lot of people talking around me about a lot of business leaders who were very in conflict, sort of like conflict management, particularly in the middle 80s. There was a lot of conflict management there where people would push people by being disruptive, trying to disrupt the chain. And that was a very difficult thing. Whereas today, most business leaders are very empowering. They want to lead people. They're looking at how they can make the workplace better. They're looking at listening to people, exactly as you said, having those ideas moments, which is very different to how it used to be. But there are occasionally instances where you do come across the old school bully tactics, if you like. And whether that means ganging up the senior management against the supplier, whether that means humiliating people in public. But today, when I see that, it has a very negative connotation very, very quickly. And sometimes you're in a situation where you might be in a room where that kind of situation happens. And actually, as a supplier or, a sort of working business within business, sometimes you actually have to take the narrative and actually lead by being positive, by showing that you've been proactive. Now, years ago, if that situation happened maybe 20 years ago, I'd have gone into the room and been fritzed to death and thought, oh my word, I don't know how to deal with this. I need to phone up and get the MD to come and join me for the next meeting because I don't know quite how we're going to do that. But actually, with experience today, sometimes you realise by giving the solutions and already saying, well, we've got that in hand. We're doing this. We're sorting this out. Because at the end of the day, what that person really wants is to see that you have got an initiative and you are pushing the solutions for them. So even though they might be upset and trying to push and push the other members of the team to see that they've got to push everybody to maybe to get that result. But actually, if you're proactive and then actually you almost quell the situation, you can walk out the room not owning it, because he will always own the room, but you will have, because you've got to let him feel as if he's owning the room, but you come out and actually sort of have left with a more of a positive feeling, and that's a hard skill, I think, to get right.
It's a brilliant story actually. So it's a mature feeling, it's a mature state where, as a young man, I would have been frustrated with that person, and Jim Rohn says, "Don't be frustrated, be fascinated." And if that person is only leading through bully boy tactics, I feel sad for them. That's all they've got. You know, I don't swear, at work because I think if I'm swearing, I've lost it.
Yeah.
And I've got a wider vocabulary than just some four-letter words.
Yeah.
And that person doesn't know how to do anything else but be like that. And I look at them and I think, how sad that's your life. That all you can do is belittle people or bully people or whatever. You've got such a limited vision. That's really sad. I didn't have that 20 odd years ago. I have it more now and encourage others to have that as well, because there's no place for that. There's definitely no place going forward with that. The younger generation will just go somewhere else. And I would encourage them to. I think a lot of my leadership skills have been learned from bad managers. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to have somebody that I am entrusted to look after feel like that. Now, I haven't always got it right, and I've got it wrong as well, and continue to get things wrong because I'm human. But sometimes that's on me, sometimes that's on them, and even in trying to do good for people, it still backfires on you. But I'm trying to listen and get their input and try and find out all the facts, whereas a lot of people don't care about any of the facts, just want their narrative. And that's fascinating to me, not frustrating.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's a cool thing for me to learn, because I'm someone that can be frustrated very quickly by different things. Doesn't matter, it's work, out of work, whatever. I'm very much frustrating, but I would take this. Yeah, but I'll take that on board. Advice. And as well, when you said something that as well I'm taking on board for me as a person, how I behave, is what I didn't like in the past, that I was treated. Because I've got, like every normal person, I've got so many stories that we've been in situations that we've been treated bad. And always look back, and definitely I don't want to be that person. That's maybe one of the best lessons as well. But talking about that, I wanted to ask you as well, where else did you, obviously it's your experience, what the people, the leaders that you don't want to be like them, but what else did you had on your journey, your mentors, your inspiration, who was next to you to help you to go through your journey?
It's a great question, and I start with my family, so I'm so blessed to have a wonderful mother and father, still alive, still married to each other, and very happily 60 years in January they'll be married. And we're all very close. I've got two older brothers, and we've been very close as a family unit. And I didn't realise that was a lucky thing until I went to secondary school and then was trying to work out. So you're saying that your dad's tonight with your stepmom and your steps, and I didn't know. That wasn't my world. I'm quite sheltered, grew up in a little village in the North Downs, and having that idyllic childhood. So my family unit, we didn't have any money, but we had love. And mum and dad would, look after us and care for us, and so I had that confidence from my parents and my brothers as well, and my grandparents. And I think that foundation then, meant that I could go on and do more. Today, it's about sharing that with the team, because the team are all different people and made up of different backgrounds and don't have that idyllic childhood that I had, some of them, and about helping them to go on their journey and their path. And I often ask that, especially at the beginning of the year, in the January, or in the annual review time, which is in the middle of the year. What do you want to do? What do you want to do for the next 12 months? And some people it stayed the same. Great. Other people it's I want to do this, that, and the other, and I want to just help and encourage them on their journey as well. So that when I look back at my time, which will only be short, will be, okay, what did I do with that? And I had the opportunity to either help people and encourage people or not to.
So do you use a mentor now? Have you got a particular mentor that you sort of work with particularly, or do you have one or two around you, sort of like, because different people have got different skill sets, maybe personal stuff and maybe business stuff, or, in different areas?
Yeah, definitely. So, again, Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. And that means cutting out some people that are going to drain you and not be helpful, and then putting people in that are good. So, still, my family, are still part of that core group of people, and I meet with them individually sometimes, as well as a family group. I have business friends that I can reach out to as well. I have had lots of mentors over the years, and I've paid lots for all the advice, and it's been the best money I've ever spent. What's interesting now, being a mentor to lots of other people, is actually I continue to learn and grow. So I'm always listening to podcasts, audiobooks when I'm in the car, or when I'm doing other things that I can't be reading, or I'm reading, if not. And that accumulative knowledge of thousands of books and thousands of hours of podcasts and audiobooks from some of the best people out there, and to have that now, I say to people that I talk to at schools, you've got all of this for free, literally free. And whether it's YouTube or Apple or Spotify or whatever, it's all out there.
It is, yeah.
And not only is it out there, but you can specifically drill down into whatever it is that you really want to look for.
That's right.
So my mentors are the people I've mentioned, the Jim Rohns, and I go to conferences, Tony Robbins, the big American guy, and other people over the years, and I go on business retreats where I'm one of the coaching teams and sort of part of that. But I'm always learning. So even in the meetings, I'm taking notes. Because I'm learning still. I run businesses still, and I think that's an important part of being a mentor, is that I'm still in the trenches. It wasn't something I used to do 10 years ago and don't quite know how it feels now. So always looking to be in a room of smarter people and people that have gone before me as well. So I've been part of Vistage, which is a CEO peer group, which is an extraordinary organisation of amazing people, and I have the best group that I was part of, and can call upon those people and others as well. So
how do you get into Vistage?
You just go onto their website and go to a local meeting near you. I always encourage people to go to a couple to find a group and the chair that fits best with you, and you have a talk from an expert in their field, and you have your chair is also your mentor as well. But the people around the table, it's like a group of non-executive directors, and some of them have got decades of experience, so you can put all that together. There's not a problem that comes up that somebody hasn't had, that they've had a chance at doing, and either succeeded or failed and learned either way. And having that team around you, again, to be able to share, what's on your plate, whether that's personal or professional, is another trusted environment, which is just vital. So just go onto the website and you'll find somebody in your area to have a look at.
And how often would you meet with that group of people?
They have different levels. They have a CEO group, which is every month, and then they have a small business group, which is you meet every other month, and then every other month opposite that you have a one-to-one with your chair. But the CEO group, which I was part of, you have a one-to-one meeting once a month and a one-to-one with your chair once a month as well. Both very good, and would encourage people to look it up.
So you would definitely recommend that, James?
So much so that I trained to be a Vistage chair, and I was going to form my own group. Stuff happened at business, my own businesses, which meant I couldn't complete that, sadly. But that's, even looking into it and looking behind the curtain, I was really impressed with it. And there's not another group that I've found, and I've tried lots of different groups out there that has that same caliber and level of people. And like I said, it's for me, I want to be the dumbest and the poorest person in the room. If I'm the richest and the smartest,
you're not afraid of that.
No, I embrace it. Because I want to learn. And what's lovely is the other people in the group know that and are encouraging.
That's important.
They're not belittling. They want to help you as well, because they're that type of people.
Being so busy, managing so many, juggling with so many businesses and work, how do you find time for yourself? Have you got strict rules for yourself? Because we might hear people who will have a day or two that they're not going to touch anything business. Others are finding their other ways. What is your way?
So for me, again, it's taken a long time to get there, but I try every morning. I have this morning, and I think every morning this week. I'm just trying to think. I think I have, but I go to my local gym, not to go into the gym part. I see it on my way past, but I go into the hot tub area and the spa area, and I go in there and I spend 20, 30 minutes in there, and I will do 10 minutes of breathing exercises, 10 minutes of visualization and meditation, and 10 minutes just to chill. And that is so important for my mental health. And what I've learned the hard way over the last 5-10 years or more is that your mental health is so important and key to your success or failure. And I've been able to, like a physical muscle, build up my mental resilience so that when bigger challenges happen and as businesses grow, bigger challenges come your way. And without putting the effort in to build this, and that's by doing that and learning and listening to others and counselling and all the different things as well, I can then build up my mental resilience so that when big things happen, and big things have happened over the last 6-7 months, yes, it knocked me down, but it didn't knock me down to rock bottom. I was able to come back up from that as well. And I think you've had Thrival on, haven't you? As
yes.
We have, yes. Yeah.
One of their images on that, I was a non-executive director of Thrival for a while, was one of their images was a picture of a head with different colours, so green at the top and red at the bottom. And when I went through some difficult times, I went from a green to an amber. If I was at an amber, I would have gone from an amber to a red. And that's crisis stage, and that's really bad, then you can't do anything. So I knew I was dropping, and I knew that I had to spend time to get back up into the green, which is where I am now.
No, that's good.
Fantastic. So you did find your recipe for how to recharge and how to keep your...
But it is what I'm finding now is you actually have to focus on that. You actually have to construct that. It doesn't happen naturally. So my rough daily routine is actually I'm an early bird, so I'll wake up early. I will do some work that I need to do for the businesses between 6 and 8 a.m. That's typically my couple of hours of working in the business, and I should be working in the business that comes a bit later. So I'll do that for a couple of hours. I'll go to the gym for half an hour or so, and then I will journal and get the stuff out of here onto a list. And I call it a to leverage list, not a to-do list. So it looks exactly like a to-do list, but it has in the first column the initials of the person that's going to do that task. Some of that's me, some of that's different team members. And then what is it that's in my head that needs to be done? And then a date as to when I want it to be done by. And I'll just get it out of this short-term memory up here and write it down and then share that with others or start on it myself. And then the rest of the day I'm either speaking to team members or working on some of that list or doing something for the kids or somebody else. So,
Just before we finish, I've seen on your LinkedIn you were doing, maybe it was a long time ago or beginning of this year, 90 days challenge.
Yeah.
What was that, and what did you achieve, and why have you done it?
It's a very good question. So I've done several 90-day challenges, and they are exactly as they sound. You start on day one with a challenge that I personally want to do, or several, and I encourage other people to come along for that journey as well. And I've had some fantastic stories, some wonderful stories from people that I've just encouraged to start something. For me, the time's going to pass anyway. Mm-hmm. So the next 90 days, we're either going to we've done something new and different or improved, or we haven't.
Yeah.
But in 90 days, it will still be 90 days from now. Mm. So I love New Year's resolutions, and I love that new challenge of a new year and setting goals and the amazing 3D goals, everything else that I like to do. So I just encourage people. There's a lot of negativity in social media. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to be a positive voice in that negative world. And I would do a video recording. So one of the challenges is for me every day to record a video of something positive every day for 90 days. And 90 days doesn't sound very much when you start on day one. 3 months later, nearly 13 weeks later, it's a lot. Within that period of time, things will have happened that you weren't expecting. And some big things and some personal things and some other stuff as well. So the challenge to do something every day for 90 days, I just love it because we can all do something for an hour, but to do something over a period of time, and why it's 90 days is because you really build a habit by that time as well. Mm. So if it's something new you want to do, if you either want to go to the gym every day or to eat better, to drink better, to do all the different things we need to do, maybe it's a financial goal, maybe it's a spiritual goal, maybe it's a relationship goal, maybe it's an education role, whatever it is that you want to do, spending a bit of time every day helps us improve over that period of time. And like I said, I do it for me. So one of my first 90-day challenge was to record a podcast every day for 90 days. And I did that. So I've got over 100 podcasts now because of that challenge. But to record a podcast, to think of a thing, to edit it, to publish it.
That's and lots of work involved. Yeah. We know very well what's going to be.
Off the back of that, then I also recorded it as a video and then published that as well on TikTok and on YouTube, those sorts of things as well. So amazingly, a bit like we said earlier, my first podcast to my 90th podcast were very different because of how much you learn in that time.
Yeah.
And it's about sharing that with people that, look, I'm not perfect. I don't know how to do this stuff. I didn't have a jingle at the beginning and at the end, an intro and an outro, all those different things. But by the end, I did because I wanted to improve and I learned how to do that. So that's something that I'm potentially working. I was speaking to one of my mentees yesterday about it. Actually, it's something I'm potentially working on launching in the new year so that people that want to do different challenges can all do it together. Because if we have got other people around us, then it's a lot easier to do it. If we don't, it's very easy to not do it.
I remember a few months ago, I don't know, on LinkedIn appeared this wonderful lady, and it was something like 190 days challenge to write a post or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, I would love to do that. I don't think I'd done it for 15 days. Although there was a group, but if I must be honest, this group at some point became a bit too much, this phone all the time. And either I'm not managing my time well, but I've got the full-time job, being a mom, being a wife, obviously, around the house, doing the podcast, doing some other things. Honestly, at some point I found it was 14th or 15th day. And I was like, no, and I quit the group. I mean, it was nothing that I need to do it for sure. I just wanted to challenge myself, but I found it that it really overwhelmed me. I am usually a person who will share or will post maybe at least 3 times a week. With the podcasts, a bit more different. I love to share my voice and my opinion about the things. But I don't know why I found it really difficult. I don't know if because I realized that it's not an easy thing, as you said, to commit. Whatever happened, doesn't matter how your day was. But now while I was listening to you, I was thinking, okay, maybe there is something like when you said the video, I think as a video, I'm a bit more sure I can, instead of sitting and writing all the things I want to say, maybe in terms of video. And try a challenge myself. Something maybe start with 30 days and then build it. Not something that big, but I've seen your thing, and I'm gonna go and check what it was about and where we can find this podcast. Is it on?
It's on it's on all of them, but Apple Podcasts.
Oh, okay.
So Amazing Leaders is the podcast name.
Amazing Leaders. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
So my last question is, from all the things that you've learned now, do you think going forward, I guess it depends on individual circumstances, but when you look back, do you think actually acquiring a business or starting a business from scratch, which did you find one most rewarding, and which do you think is a better journey? Is there a better, or is there such a thing as a better journey?
Yeah, well, there is such a thing, because the statistics say that starting a business, it's likely to fail. And, without the partnership that my brother and I had, it probably would have failed if it was just me starting out, because I didn't know all the things I didn't know. And he was very good at making sure we grew organically and had the cash flow and everything else, to do all of that. So that partnership was great. So my answer to that always is, it's easier to buy a business than it is to start one. And just simple things, bank accounts, telephone numbers, websites, the team, from day one, you'll get an order, or you'll get people coming in, or whatever else it is. Whereas if you're starting something, who knows? So there's an instant cash flow, which is important as well. Also, with buying a business, you've got the last 3 year sets of accounts minimum, so you can see what the trend is typically like. Being a new person in a business as well, before you buy it, obviously you're buying it for a reason, and one of those reasons is I can see where I can improve it, whether that's me personally and with the team, obviously, as well, but also in the marketplace. What would I do differently? How could I improve what they've already done? And sometimes it's just getting the old person out of the way. That's a lot of the time, because they don't want to change anything. They're coming to the end of their career, and they don't want to risk anything on a new something. Whereas if you're coming in with new ideas, then you can try and encourage that business to grow in another way, or just to keep up with modern times as well. So you have to have the element of being able to deal with risk, being able to deal with debt, because if you're not buying it with your own money, which I don't encourage anybody to do, then you're going to have to take on an element of debt, whether that's just with the previous owner and paying them back, or the previous owner and another lender, of whatever sort that is. So my level of being able to cope with debt is a lot better than it ever was, and all those debts are being paid off every month, which is great. So I can see the end is coming, where it's going to be very nice. But starting a business is tough, and I think the problem with the social media side is everyone makes out that it's really easy, and that's false. There's no such thing as an overnight success. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success. So I would encourage people, if they want to be an entrepreneur and want to go on that journey, is to get around other entrepreneurs. Get in with a startup and try and learn from other people, so that they're the ones paying for the mistakes. Learn from people's mistakes. That's going to be your best education. What would you do differently, and all those sorts of things as well. But an well-established business that you can acquire, that you can pay off in 5 years' time, again, 5 years does go like that, then it's yours, and then you can grow it and add to it, and so on and so on. That's just my example, but I've got lots of other people that I work with that have bought multiple businesses and more than doubled, quadrupled their turnover of the business that they already had. And it's exciting to be a small part of that.
No, it's amazing. James, thank you so much. That was really helpful. I think a lot of people always say they want to start their own business, but it sounds like there's a different way, and maybe a way that could be far more creative and actually still make the same influence, and maybe end up with the same goal, which is also quite, not only rewarding financially, but also rewarding from a personal point of view, because I can see clearly, like, there's a radiance inside you that sort of that drive and that success, and looking at a legacy, because at the end of the day, we're leaving a legacy. Each time we're doing that, we'll leave a legacy, and I think that's a real positive response. So James, from both of us, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for sharing some really valuable experience with us both, and with each and everyone listening. So Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd really ask if you'd please give us a like, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Spotify, please do give us a follow, and the same obviously on Apple Podcast. Thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to sharing our next episode with you very soon. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.